Hello everybody, this is RX Kuza and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a new series, it's called DIA, which is Data in Action. Every week I will upload a video and I show a case study or use case that was already done and delivered. What's the purpose of that? The purpose of that is to show use cases and case studies of data monetization that worked. I mean that they deliver results. I hope we will be able to meet each other here every week and we will be able to analyze those together. So if you like that, please subscribe. I would love to get 500 subscribers within a month. It's already a little bit about 260, so I would love to encourage you considering subscribing. And please remember DIA, Data in Action. It's a weekly episode about data monetization, use cases, and case studies. So it will be only practical approach. No theory here, no 5 points or 6 points or different how-tos. It's going to be a lot of data in action that I will analyze and discuss that with you. I would love to encourage you to also discuss the results with me. Today, I choose the McKinsey article, and it's full of use cases and case studies. It's titled Tipping the Scales in AI, How Leaders Capture Exponential Returns. I really love that article because it actually explained three things. First one, how much money leaders, laggards, and aspirants spend on artificial intelligence to properly monetize the data. Second, how companies actually can pick up the real use case for monetizing the data. And third thing, the real examples and real number of results that were delivered by those companies. So let's jump in and let's analyze that use cases and case studies. First of all, the article is actually showing that there are three types of companies that we can put in three different buckets. First one are leaders. Those are the companies that can reach up to 3.4 x return. How that return is actually defined here, it's an impact that is operating income impact. So it's actually really tied to money. So if you think about this from this perspective, leaders, and we will look in that who they are and what they do, are actually delivering already results that are more than tripled than the other companies. This report, it's dated April 23rd, 2021. So that happened 2 years ago. It was done. It's not a future forecasting, it's just the past. So that's already happened. So if you are a leader monetizing your data and getting AI in action, you can expect, averagely speaking, tripling your operating income impact. Aspirants that are in the middle bucket are actually doing more or less 2 times, they doubling, while laggards are just have a 1 multiply factor. As you can see, those companies that are in the leaders section and aspirants, they can also expect even more results in the future as the growth line is actually increasing, not linearly. Laggards are on the linear growth, while aspirants and leaders are coming up differently. But let's have a look what those guys are doing to be leaders, aspirants, and laggards. So first of all, if you can see, this is very fascinating. First of all, they measure how much money they spent on artificial intelligence projects. Why it's important? Well, by talking to companies, I sometimes see that they don't really measure how much money they spend on artificial intelligence projects. They don't really analyze that. They kind of like look at this as like many of the IT projects or transformation projects that are put in a bucket of like CTOs or CIOs or CEOs. Here, they are just cutting this cost out, this investment out, that they actually get a sense how much they spent. So first thing we can learn from these guys is that they know how much money they spent specifically on artificial intelligence projects. Very fascinating is how much money they spent. So laggards spent from 5 to 10% of their budget, of IT budget. Aspirants, they spend 10 to 15%, and leaders 15% plus. But one thing is to spend money, and the second thing is what they spend money on. And here we can see the real difference between what laggards, aspirants, and leaders do. Stay with me by the end of this episode as I will quickly walk you through the specific use cases and business cases they implement to make sure that AI deliver that operational profits. So first of all, talent. Laggards has pocketed talents. I found it so fascinating because talents in a Laggard's example are pocketed. So they have an organizational chart, marketing, supply and chain, operational, and let's say accounting, and they have talents here and there, while leaders are actually scaling AI talents across their organizational chart. And that actually influences how much money they need for that kind of exercise. So I find it so interesting to look at that. What's the first difference? Laggards has a talents here and there, while leaders have them spread out kind of like evenly. At the same time, that influence how much they experiment. One important thing is that AI is still in experimental phase, which means that there are proof of concepts done and use cases implemented, and we will see them in a second, but also there's a lot of experimentation. So if you look at the laggards, those are doing independent, disconnected proof of concept. What they mean by that? That's very interesting because let's say you are a disruption manager or innovation manager, and you can always easier to find a deal with sales and marketing. Those guys are more open to experiment, to see how the things can get rolling to bring like financial results. So you mostly work with sales and marketing because those guys are friendly, open-minded, more flexible. I'm not judging here, I'm just giving an example. So in this particular case, you see there is opportunity for proof of concept. While when you go to supply and chain or maybe warehouse management or on field managers, they are not so happy with running proof of concept. They might be not so tech savvy. They might be a little bit reluctant or busy. And they say, no, we don't want to run proof of concepts here. So you choose the sales and marketing and you stop talking to supply chain guys or on field managers. That's what's actually what laggards doing. That's the why at the end they have pocketed proof of concepts here and there's a black hole when the proof of concept are not going anymore, or there's a little of them. Leaders have that enterprise-wide transformation. That's how leaders doing. They convince everybody, they give budgets to everybody to run proof of concept. By everybody, I mean like or organizational structure. That's what differs those two parts. There's also a lot of agile here in technology and data. I don't want to go into that deeply because I just pick up two most important by me elements that are differing those three companies. Adoption and business change, as you can see, 50% of change management proactively aimed at an early vision concept stage, which means that these guys are really taking seriously the change management too. So let's jump in and see what they're actually doing. This article reveals a lot about this. So first of all, we have a telco player. Look what they've done. They've done like digital self-care, which is pushing a lot of things on the customer side. It looks like a great use case and business case. If you see that in your app, people need to do something manually, or they need to call you to do that for them, you can see that as a great opportunity for digitalizing self-care. So ensure that customers can do stuff on their own. And I remember a use case coming from AT&T. Before, to diagnose the state of my home network, my Wi-Fi router and my connections in the different touch points and across my house, I need to call AT&T, and they were doing remote testing. After a while, they realized that it would be easier if I can trigger that self-test remotely through the AT&T app. And that's what is an example of Salesforce. First great use case for improving your artificial intelligence implementation that brings results. Second, frontline robotics, like calls are automated. And obviously speech to text plays a lot of here. So if you can automate the standard calls, standard conversations by using ChatGPT or any other techniques that are speech to text to text, or text to speech, you can actually bring a lot of positive results and move your company from the laggards or aspirant to the leader's perspective. Another great example is leveraging AI to automate repetitive tasks. This is nothing new, but how many companies think about the proof of concepts? Like leaders, they constantly look for ways to automate the business, while laggards or aspirants doing a little bit here, but there's always a black hole in the laggards and aspirants organizations when they don't look for that kind of case studies at all, or just look a little bit. So automating like repetitive tasks is another great case study and use case for this kind of operational increase that you want to bring in your organization. Another great example is business company that is using AI and automation enabled sales force of the future. And this is like really a treasure. In this article, you have a lot of case studies when you can actually bring them to your company and try them out as a proof of concept. First one, in kind of sales strategy and planning. I will not go over them, but I will just pick up few I really like, because I either saw them in my customers' projects, or I think they can just quickly get you to the moment when you can bring the result. First one, look at that AI-driven pipeline health monitoring. Imagine companies that can have engine, and there's plenty of companies online when you look for like sales forecasting, sales funnel forecasting, sales funnel quality checkup, that they can actually hook up to your CRM system and tell you how healthy is your pipeline. So how much customers you have at the top level of the pipeline, and what you can expect at the lower level of the pipeline, which is conversion or retention. So if you think about that, the AI can bring you a lot of insight that can automate the sales funnel. That's a first use case. Work on the health of your sales funnel. Second things, what I really like, it's bot-driven lead nurturing, especially in the ChatGPT-4 era. So imagine this, that your sales managers or engagement managers are constantly on a Slack channel talking to your customer. You can analyze that conversations and build a sentiment about that, summarize them, and let bots suggest the next topic, next conversation, next discussion. Then this way you can smarter nurture your leads. Another great thing I really like that about this is post-sales activities. If you're selling a product like a software as a service, or you selling a product that is downloadable, you can download that product and you charge for it. So then by hooking up this data to AI engines, you can get recommendation about what you can upsell. And here is an example. Let's say you're a software as a service company that helps people make a better financial decisions and pick up stocks that they should invest in. After a while, you have so much data that you can upsell them training, you can upsell them webinars, or you can get them together and bring them to one office in New York, for instance, and give them personal advice. Obviously, you are going to charge for it, but that's the recommendation made by AI because of the data you can apply for it. So this is the great use cases that you can use in the sales force of the future. But there is more use cases and business cases in this article. And this is the real treasure. McKinsey did a wonderful job that they analyze where, in which companies, it's the best use case for AI implementation and data monetization. So if you look at that, you can see that this color is showing us the increase by more than 3% of this operational activity. And this is like between 1 and 3%, and this is less than 1%. And if you can look at this, in the hardware companies, B2B pricing, it's where you can actually, when you should invest to increase your operational effectiveness. So if you look at the churn prevention, that's another great use case. And if you look at this article, segmentation and customer acquisition. But the beauty of this piece that McKinsey did is you can change that to the different kind of companies. Let's say you are a technology provider. So in this particular case, if you want to be effective, increase your operational results, invest in churn prevention. There are plenty tools you can hook up to and make sure you are analyzing your data in terms to find out what you can do to prevent your customers from going to your competition. So churn prevention is another great use case. If you look at the improving B2B sales productivity, I mentioned that already, that's another case, but also B2B pricing. And what is surprising to me that many people are talking about, let's say, customer care, AI-driven customer care, or service desk resource optimization. Obviously, there is a gain here you can get, but this is not the best use case in this particular case. But let's say you are a software platform or you are as a software as a service. Those are the use cases you should probably pay a lot of attention to. B2B pricing, how my pricing should look like. Churn prevention, cross-sell, upsell, mentioned that before, and improving B2B sales productivity and segmentation and customer acquisition. So I really encourage you to look at that from the where AI and data monetization can be actually the most effective investment for you and why you should do it. I love to look at this article and title it a little bit differently. Instead of saying tipping the scales in AI, I would say that the title could be, obviously, I don't want to correct McKinsey consultants, but I think the better title would be why companies cannot ignore investing in data monetization and artificial intelligence. I hope you liked the first episode of Data in Action. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel and or leave a comment. If you don't like it, don't go anywhere. Please go to the comments, leave the feedback. I want to learn from you and improve the next episodes. Please remember, Data in Action episodes will be published every week on weekends for you so we can all analyze together the best data monetization case studies and examples which you can bring to your companies or talk to your managers about doing them in your business. Thank you so much for being here with me. Have a great day and talk to you in a week.